cranky and natural bend of the elbow is horizontally away from Tori, the arm is pushed horizontally away from Tori. In this case, pressure is applied against Tori's arm, not against his side. Position of hands. To apply maximum force and leverage, both of Tori's hands should grip the far side of Yuki's wrist. Gripping the near side of the wrist restricts the hugging action that is required. In some cases, execution of the arm lock could be obstructed because the movement of Tori's hands will be blocked by Tori's chest. Pulling on the sleeve is ineffective because holding the sleeve gives poor control of Yuki's arm, and also leverage is reduced because holding the sleeve is closer to the elbow than the wrist grip. Applying pressure close to the elbow decreases leverage. Best results are obtained with two hands, one on top of the other, positioned and pulling on the far side of the wrist at a maximum distance from the elbow. Posture. A large triangular posture is the most stable and the best for adapting to the forever changing circumstances that accompany combative situations. A small triangular posture is unstable, admittedly shown here exaggerated, and difficult to change position from. Preconditions required to apply the arm locks Wakikitami and Yushiro Wakikitami. From study and research, it was found that to apply a Wakikitami, 4 preconditions have to be present. In certain cases, a 5th precondition, motion, is necessary. The ease and difficulty of obtaining these preconditions varies with each application. These preconditions will now be explained. 1. Yuki must be in a frontal position or be able to be brought to a frontal position. Because Yuki is in the hands and knees position, the frontal position already exists. There is no difficulty with this precondition. In this case, bringing Yuki to a frontal position requires a lot of skill. This is a difficult precondition for Tori to obtain. 2. Tori must be able to maneuver himself into the required position. Because Tori has no restrictions imposed upon him by Yuki, it is easy for him to maneuver. In this example, Tori's ability to maneuver is very difficult. The preconditioning of maneuvering requires a lot of skill in this case. Tori must be able to enter his hand, arm or leg between Yuki's arm and body. Here the applications reverse roles. In this application, the precondition of entering the arm is easy. In this case, for Tori to enter his arm between Yuki's body and arm is the most difficult precondition. Tori must be able to extend Yuki's arm. After Tori has overcome the difficult preconditioning of maneuvering, the preconditioning of straightening the arm already exists. After Tori has overcome the difficult precondition of entering his arm, the difficult precondition of straightening the arm remains. In some cases, Yuki must be in motion. Here we have an example which contains 3 easy preconditions. 1 entering the arm, 2 straightening the arm, and 3 maneuvering. But unless there is movement, the preconditioning of getting Yuki into a frontal position would be very difficult, if not impossible. Recapitulating the preconditions for Wakigatami. Yuki must be in a frontal position or be able to be brought to a front position. Tori must be able to maneuver himself into the required position. Tori must be able to enter his hand, arm or leg between Yuki's arm and body. Be able to extend Yuki's arm. In some cases, Yuki must be in motion. These 5 preconditions will be referred to during instruction on this tape. With an understanding of these preconditions, it is simple to determine whether a Wakigatami is possible or not in any given situation. After determining what the preconditions are for a specific technique, especially in Newaza, the interested instructor or student will be able to decipher their own new technique. Wakigatami and Yushiro Wakigatami applications occurring from holding situations. We begin by examining applications for Wakigatami and Yushiro Wakigatami that occur from attacking and escaping actions from the hold Hon Kezukatami, the basic scarf hold. Yuki applies a bridge and roll escape. As Yuki rolls Tori over, Yuki places himself in a frontal position with his arm outstretched. At the correct moment, Tori turns and applies a Yushiro Wakikatami. Yuki applies an uphill escape. This opportunity occurs when Yuki places his free arm on Tori's body as he turns to escape. At the correct moment, Tori switches control from Yuki's held arm and turns and applies Yushiro Wakikatami on Yuki's free arm. Tori turns away before the hold is applied. In this application, Tori must seize the opportunity before Yuki applies the hold. Turning away from Yuki, Tori takes control of Yuki's arm. Maintaining control of Yuki's arm throughout the turn, Tori ends up applying a Yushiro Wakikatami. Tori applies a bridge and roll escape. As Tori applies a bridge and roll escape, Yuki is turned over to a frontal position. Before Yuki brings his right arm in to defend himself, Tori jumps over Yuki's body and applies Yushiro Wakikitami. Tori applies an uphill escape. As Yuki holds on trying to save the hold, he turns himself onto a frontal position with an outstretched arm. With the two preconditions of frontal position and outstretched arm existing, it is easy for Tori to apply Wakikitami. Applications are now shown from actions arising from the hold Kazuri Kazukatami, the modified scarf hold. Attempting to escape, Yuki turns towards Tori. Tori first resists Yuki's efforts to escape before applying Wakigatami. The principle of resistance and reaction is demonstrated for this hold. Momentarily, Yuki's movements are uncontrolled and he rolls over onto his front. When Tori feels the moment is correct, he ceases to resist and uses Yuki's reaction to roll him over and extend the arm and apply Wakigatami. As Yuki enters for the hold, Tori slips under Yuki's arm. Of the 43 made applications, this is the most difficult to execute. It is the preconditioning of maneuvering that makes this application difficult. Before Yuki applies the hold, and while Yuki's weight is still on his outstretched arm, Tori slips his arm inside, breaks Yuki's balance, slides his body downwards, while turning and applies Yushiro Wakigatami. Practicing this difficult but interesting application will improve maneuverability for other less difficult Wakigatami and Yushiro Wakigatami applications. After sliding his body downwards, Tori turns towards Yuki instead of away, as in the previous example, the resultant arm lock is Wakigatami instead of Yushiro Wakigatami. Applications are now shown from actions arising from the hold Kata Gatami, shoulder hold. As Tori attempts the hold, Yuki turns away. Agility is the key word for this application. Tori must be able to move around Yuki's head and apply Ushiro Wakigatami before Yuki can withdraw his arm to defend against the arm lock. Yuki enters for the hold, Tori rolls backwards. Before the hold is too effective, Tori rolls over backwards and applies Ushiro Wakigatami. Twist the backward roll and resist the hold. Tori pushes his upper arm onto the side of Yuki's neck. To increase the pushing force, Tori holds both hands together and pushes against Yuki's neck, utilizing the power of both arms.